Since the 1970s, Sharp, an electronics manufacturer, and Nintendo have had a good business relationship. Sharp provided the solar cells needed for Nintendo's beam gun games. Key components that made up the Game & Watch handhelds are from Sharp. In 1986, Sharp created the Twin Famicom, a system that combined the Famicom and the Famicom Disk System. Sharp even provided the screens for Nintendo's 3DS handheld system. But one of the most unique collaborations between the two companies was the Sharp Nintendo Television, a full-color tube TV with a built-in NES. It was bulky, expensive, and didn't sell well, causing it to be discontinued within 6 months. The predecessor to the Sharp Nintendo Television was the Sharp C1, which came out in 1983 in Japan, the same year the Famicom was released. It came in 2 sizes, 14 inches or 19 inches, as well as 2 colors, red and silver. One unique advantage the Sharp C1 had over the original Famicom was that the video output was connected directly to the television via RGB. Wow! People spend a lot of money these days trying to get their old systems to output in RGB. This one does it already. Apparently, video game magazines at the time would always use screenshots from these televisions for the best quality. The Famicom only had RF output, which doesn't look the best. Another unique feature was that the Sharp C1 came with a multi-cart Famicom game, which contained Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong Jr. Math. To date, it is the only officially licensed multi-cart game made for the Famicom. The unit also featured 2 built-in programs, JR Graphic, which was an art-like program, and TV Note. 6 years later, in September of 1989, Sharp brought the 19-inch model over to the United States with a redesign, model number 19SV111. Its official name was the Game Television. Let's start off with the unit as a whole. It's basically split into 2 sections, the television and the actual console. The manual even provides instructions on separating the two, in case you just want to use the television. It's somewhat odd looking with these 4 feet attached. Well, it was a necessity. The NES TV was stacked. In order to make sure the thing didn't tip over, Sharp added the feet, which are prone to breaking. Finding a unit with all 4 feet intact is a rarity. On the front you had 2 panel doors. The first one contained your standard television controls, such as brightness and color, along with channel and volume buttons. The power button for the television is to the right, and also has a display to let you know what channel you're on. The second panel has the word GAME in giant letters plastered on it. Ah, this must be where the games go. The games insert exactly like the original NES toaster. Slide them in and push them down. To the left of that panel you have the power and reset buttons for the console, and to the right there are 2 controller ports. When you power on the system, the small display shows a P, letting you know the NES is on. On the back of the TV you have VHF and UHF hookups, as well as a switch to flip between regular television or cable television. One interesting thing I noticed on the back is the Nintendo patent sticker, which states the television uses patent number 4799635. This is the patent for the lockout chip technology found in the NES, so this unit contains it as well. The Sharp NES TV came with 2 controllers. They have their own unique design with the words Game Television written in the top right corner. Otherwise, they are exactly the same as a standard NES controller. It also came with a remote, as most televisions do. However, this remote is special in that it can actually power on the NES. The remote is increasingly hard to find these days, maybe even more rare than the TV itself. One recently sold on eBay for $358. So besides physical appearances, how does it play? Well, pretty much exactly how you would expect. It's an NES toaster built into a television. One advantage to this is that the picture quality is really good, as the composite video is attached directly to the TV. It might even look slightly better than the standard cable hookup. The television does have 2 speakers, but unfortunately you'll still get mono sound out of your NES. What about some NES accessories? How do those work? The NES Zapper seemed to work just fine, as did the Game Genie. Again, this is just an NES toaster, so anything that works with that will probably work with this television. Of course, this also means it suffers from the same problems, such as the pin connectors getting loose. The Sharp Nintendo Television debuted in September of 1989 and was sold primarily in department stores such as Sears or Kmart. However, this thing was expensive. Apparently you could buy an NES and a TV separately, sometimes even a TV bigger than this one, and it would still be cheaper. This resulted in poor sales. The 1989 Sears Christmas catalog doesn't even mention it. In January of 1990, Sharp discontinued the product. Sharp also put out a second model, the 19SV111. It had a sleeker, darker look, but otherwise the two are identical. Supposedly only around 200 or so were made, and were only sold to hotels and retail stores for display purposes. So if you can find one of these models, consider yourself lucky. Later in 1990, the Super Famicom was released, and Sharp released another TV with a built-in Super Famicom, the SF1. The carts loaded on the top this time, and it was only released in Japan. The Sharp Nintendo television is a neat collector's piece. Growing up, I had a TV with a VCR built into it, so this would have been amazing. I understand why Sharp made them. Unfortunately, the price point just totally killed it. They're kind of rare these days. Occasionally they pop up on eBay for around $250 to $500, depending on their condition. That's all for this episode of Gaming Historian. Thanks for watching.